of people, at least a small segment of the population, ISU fans out there, kind of tend to put the blame on this one on Coach Richardson. But let's face it, he's just not in an easy situation at this point.
Well, it's kind of interesting, and I'm going to get up my soapbox here, but, look across society in general, and I don't know about you, but I know when I was
Tom Richardson, but I got some emails and heard some folks say they didn't get a chance to hear it when it ran after the 6:30 news on Sports Talk last night. So, a special encore presentation, I guess. Mark Johnson interviewing ISU head coach Tom Richardson. The main topic, of course, the departure of freshman forward P.J. Smith. And again, this interview originally airing last night and brought back by popular demand here on Sports Talk on The Voice, 1230 WJBC.
Well, Tom, was kind of a wild and woolly weekend considering the suspension of P.J. Smith and ultimately his decision to leave the program. Just from a general sense, let's get your take as a head coach on the whole situation.
Well, Mark, we're disappointed that it had to come to that. P.J. is a nice young man, and albeit I think a little bit confused right now, or has been in the last couple of weeks, but nevertheless, the scenario developed, and he eventually chose not to be part of this program, and we'll move forward, and in some cases, I think it's a case of maybe an addition by subtraction. If a young man is not happy for whatever reasons in a program, I guess it's best for both to go their separate ways and move forward, and certainly that's what we're going to do in this case.
Well, Tom, truth be told, this was a situation, I know you've had to kind of work with PJ and hope to bring him along as the season progressed, but it might sound a little bit blunt to say this way, but this, I don't think, is a total surprise to you, is it?
No, it's not a total surprise to me because of some situations that have developed throughout the course of the year, and which Mark, I probably really can't get into, but it's not a surprise, and unfortunately, PJ had a lot of opportunity to play here, and he averaged 25 minutes a game, and he had all the resources of this university, and for some reason, and yet to be explained to me from him or his mom or anybody, other than he felt uncomfortable at Illinois State University, that this transpired.
Conversations with him, I mean, do you have any idea from his standpoint what his plans are?
The only thing PJ has relayed to me is something about Triton Junior College, and which is in his community back in the suburbs of Chicago, and he has requested his release, which student athletes need to talk to other schools about transferring, and he has requested that as well. And other than that, I really don't know if he has any significant plans at this point.
Tom, when I covered Purdue for a few years, I always recall a comment that Gene Cady made to me one day in reference to coaching and how this job has changed over the years. He said somewhere along the line, and he wasn't sure where, but he said somewhere along the line, I went from being a coach to being a coach and a parent and a teacher and a caretaker. And I think sometimes the public doesn't fully understand to what lengths you guys have to go at times to be the quote-unquote coach.
Yeah, and those are all characteristics and parts of our job, which I relish. I'm not afraid to lend a hand, and as I recruit these young men, I tell them I'm going to treat them like my son, and there's no one as important to me in this world than my children, and that's I'm going to make decisions, sometimes tough decisions, sometimes tough love, but they're going to get that from me. And PJ got it from me, and he knows that, and his mom knows that, and sometimes when a student athlete leaves a university, the thing is that there must be something amiss in the program or at the school or in the dorm or with the team or whatever. But I think in PJ's case and in others that have left here, I don't think there's been anything amiss. I think these guys have made decisions for different reasons, and have chosen to go elsewhere for different reasons. And the guys that they've had experienced a lot of success here. And usually when kids leave, it's because they're not playing. They were promised something and it didn't transpire, and so forth. But in the cases of PJ and a Victor Williams of the past, or maybe a Sean Riley, these guys have all been starting players, and all have chose to depart for different reasons. Vic was told he needed to play in the bigger league, and it was as simple as that. And he disguised that in saying that he was homesick and so forth. Well, he transferred to Oklahoma State, which is about an hour closer to his home than Illinois State. And he had some other people getting in his ear. And, Sean Riley was a graduate in a different scenario. He truly lost his passion to play. I don't know how much of a passion he had, but he truly just felt like he didn't want to play basketball anymore anywhere, and he didn't. And with PJ says he feels uncomfortable. I think there's a lot of underlying questions that go with that, and so forth. So these kids have all been treated fairly and treated right here by our staff. There is not, in my opinion, a better place to play basketball, to go to school, and to live than at Illinois State University in Bloomington Normal. And the people that are here are supportive and encouraging and fair, and want to do right by these kids. But this is kind of a day and age too, Mark, where young people aren't accepting challenges. If something gets tough or hard or so forth, the first inclination is to run. And you sometimes need a strong support network to keep the kids grounded and focused. And in some cases, the kids are listening to the wrong people.
Tom, I've been around you enough to know that you're a buck stops here kind of guy. And with that being said, though, and when kids decide to leave for whatever reason, the myriad of reasons you've already gone through, I mean, how frustrating is it from your standpoint? Because generally the public perception is, well, there must be something wrong with Tom Richardson and the coaching staff of the university.
Yeah, I mean, and that just kind of is the nature of it nowadays, Mark. I mean, my coaching colleagues, we kind of share that frustration and kind of feel for each other, because we understand we're in the trenches with the kids on a daily basis. We hear the horror stories and fight the battles sometimes, and we kind of know. And unfortunately, I think what the public hears or sees or speculates is just the very tip of the iceberg. And I'm not going to get into all the particulars of PJ's situation, because quite honestly, I would have to criticize PJ. And I don't want to do that. PJ's a nice young man, and I wish him nothing but success in whatever future endeavors he decides to take on.
You mentioned the addition by subtraction. Let me ask you about the team. How do you think this affects your squad for next year?
Fortunately, at the position PJ's we're the strongest. I think with Tyrese and the addition of Travis Wilson and Sean Jepson, and the young man we recruited from Texas, Jason Hammock. That's 4 very, very good wing players, and young. All of them are young players, and that's an area that we're very, very strong at. So personally, I don't, unless we had some injuries or something next year or some other unforeseen circumstances, from a pure basketball standpoint, I don't think we'll miss a beat. And again, if a young man is disgruntled on your team, obviously there's some situations that can hurt a team. So therefore comes in my comment of addition by subtraction.
Recruiting-wise, I know you guys are hot on the trail now yourself, along with Doug Knopsick and Alvin Williamson out nonstop looking for guys. How's that whole process coming along, Tom?
We're excited about the recruiting process here in the next month to 6 weeks, Mark. And the spring recruiting period is much different than the fall. It's just a whole different animal. The student athlete has from April 12th to May 15th to sign his letter of intent. So it's just a longer, more drawn-out period. And guys don't start making their visits till April because of spring break. There's many dead periods during this time, too, when students cannot make campus visits, this weekend being one of them because of the Final Four. So it's just more of a longer, drawn-out period than the fall one. The fall one seems to happen quickly, and the kids have a week to sign. And again, this is a different animal here in the spring. But one thing I want to make a comment on is the guys that we have here currently. They are the foundation of our program, and they're the ones that will make us successful. The young men we're recruiting are hopefully good pieces of the puzzle and a good fit that will complement what we have. Our guys are working very hard in the weight room and in conditioning. There's a very positive atmosphere with our guys, and a lot of positive thinking that, as frustrating as this past season was, in a lot of ways it wasn't unexpected, but going through it, living it, and so forth, I think we built a toughness and a good foundation for the future. And the young men that we have here are going to be in this program for the next couple of years, and they, along with our staff, are very excited about their potential.
Tom, when we talk about situations like Victor or Sean or PJ, does it cause you on the recruiting trail to change what you're looking for in terms of not only a physical talent but also maybe a mental toughness that you look for?
Absolutely. There is no question about that. We have this year, and that is the hardest thing. The intangibles are the hardest things to detect because in some cases you rely on coaches and others to help formulate a personality of this young man you're recruiting, because the rules restrict you in terms of how many contacts you can make with a young man. So you don't get completely the feel of this person, so you kind of rely on others. And you know what, Mark? Until they get here, you truly will never understand. Until they face some adversity or challenges and see their response from them, you almost truly don't know. So we've made a very concerted effort this year, and our list has gone from a very long list to a very short list because of those intangibles of mental toughness and academic success, self-discipline, maturity, and all of those things. Our list has shrunk to a working few, and which we're concentrating on now. So yes, that has been a high priority. Character and toughness and all those ingredients have been high on our list, and obviously you need talent to go along with that.
Mm-hmm. A couple of other quick odds and ends before we let you go here, Tom. Of course, Dan Leshefko was a guy we watched all season long as he struggled with the asthma situation. Has there been any resolution to that yet?
Dan has seen a number of doctors again this spring, and still is in the process of that. He's had a variety of different things done to him to look to improve this situation, and continually will do so. We're uncovering every rock, every possibility to help this young man play, and he can breathe at the same time.
Yeah.
And with Dan, and part of it, some of it is learning how to control the situation. Dan will hyperventilate before the actual loss of oxygen is there. It's just a nervousness, and understandably so, that hits him and other people with asthmatic conditions, that the hyperventilation starts before actually the loss of oxygen. So we're trying to work through with Dan, and doctors are trying to give him some techniques to help do that. And now I don't know what's going to transpire. I don't know if Dan's going to be able to play or not next year. Again, we're working closely with Dan, and no decision really needs to be made on this at any point here in the near future. And it's just how much Dan can go through. I mean, literally the kid gets sick every day at practice, and hardly ever practices, as you can attest to, being around the program. And then sometimes he can play 10, 15 minutes a game, and other times he can't play anything. So this will be a decision between Dan and his family and ourselves, and we would certainly want him to do what's in the best interest from him and from a medical standpoint. And again, no decision is forthcoming, and it may be something that continues to transpire here through the spring and into the summer, and maybe even the next fall. And hopefully there's something out there that can just help a little bit, because Dan certainly wants to be part of this program, and you know, if he's a real tough guy, so he's going to do everything he can to see that, make that happen.
And lastly, it was about a month ago, or maybe a month and a half ago, I suppose, Tom, we talked about this a bit on your program, and there was all that talk about a possible 4-team event up in Chicago, and I know you've been working on it then. Anything new to report there?
Yeah, there's that event is going to take place. I've decided not to do that. It was DePaul and UIC, and I think now Southern Illinois is in there with somebody else, and they're going to do that up at the Allstate Arena up there, the Old Horizon, and they're going to have that one-day event. We needed a home game, and I didn't want to give up a road game. We can playing if it was DePaul or whomever at Allstate. That is just a road game for us, and we don't get DePaul is not going to return here. So, Mark, I didn't think that was in the best interest of our program to go up there and play DePaul in their home court on a Saturday and not have them return. So I just didn't want to give up. I'll be glad to play DePaul anytime, but they need to come back to Redbird Arena too.
And then Tom Richardson's interview done by Mark Johnson, which originally aired last night here on Sports Talk, but like I said, I got some emails from folks who heard us talking about it after the fact, didn't get a chance to actually hear the interview. So the encore presentation there for you. It's 27 minutes after 8 o'clock here on The Voice, 1230 WJBC. You are tuned to Sports Talk. Our numbers, 829-2345, 1-800-322-9377. Don't forget, coming up after the news, we're going to talk a little U-High baseball. That's up next as Sports Talk continues here on The Voice, 1230 WJBC.
Jack jumped over a candlestick. Saccharin is a sugar substitute. 325 million miles per